The very first thing the man did right after confessing his feelings to the stunning school beauty was instantly and heartlessly demand a brutal breakup. Everyone around them burst into laughter, mocking him for being a completely ungrateful fool. But he completely ignored their insults because only he knew the unbelievable secret that in the very near future, this peaceful blue planet would face a disaster unlike anything humanity had ever seen. If we turn back to the night before, he was still half asleep, drifting inside a dream that felt too real to be just imagination. It wasn't a simple dream. It felt like a memory, like a life he had already lived once before. In that other life, he learned that spiritual energy would fully awaken across the world. And once it did, the rules of society would collapse and rebuild from the ground up. The age of ordinary people would end, replaced by an era where cultivators ruled everything. And from that moment on, strength would be the only law that mattered. He remembered the end of that world too clearly. Almost all humans were devoured by terrifying beasts from another realm, cities turned into ruins, and he himself died filled with despair and unwillingness, watching everything burn away. But just as that dream faded, something appeared within him, a cultivation system, born from the tragic ending of his previous life. It chose him in this new life to change humanity's fate, to stop that cruel ending from happening again. Right now, most people still couldn't feel the awakening spiritual energy, but he could sense the strange changes already beginning, and the system told him that everything in this world could become material for cultivation if he knew how to use it. At the same time, the official news quietly reported unusual events, advising citizens to stay alert and take precautions, which made him sigh softly because even though the government did not deny the strange phenomena, he remembered clearly that in his previous life, even with preparation, the nation still fell during the catastrophe. Yet compared to other countries that collapsed into chaos early, his homeland had stayed calm longer, becoming the last nation to fall. And that memory tightened his chest because this time he would not let history repeat itself. If everything in the world could be used, then news reports were the best clues to find strange events, and soon he saw an article about Ching University, where ultraviolet radiation had reached an unprecedented level. Without hesitation, he chose it as his first destination. The moment he arrived at the north gate, he felt something was terribly wrong. The air itself burned against his skin, and golden light spheres rose slowly from the ground along the campus road like tiny suns. When his finger touched one, the system detected a violent fluctuation of yang energy and unlocked data for him. In the next second, golden patterns spread across his body like glowing veins, and brilliant light burst out, drawing stunned looks from everyone nearby, some joking nervously that he looked like he was about to transform into some kind of legendary warrior. But the system finished compiling quickly, granting him a technique called the Golden Sun Breathing Method. He couldn't help but feel absurdly confident for a moment, standing there bathed in golden light, thinking he looked like the most dazzling man in the universe. Meanwhile, at the university's freshman registration area, a girl named Liu Ruyan arrived and instantly drew crowds of people trying to impress her, but she coldly rejected them all, believing most of them were shallow and obsessed with romance without ambition. Suddenly, a pillar of golden light shot into the sky from the north gate, and emergency announcements ordered everyone to stay away due to extreme heat. Liu Ruyan frowned, sensing something unusual had been happening frequently lately, and decided to investigate. Back at the north gate, he practiced the Golden Sun Breathing Method, drawing in scorching energy to temper his body. When he finished, the system informed him that he had purified a contaminated area officially marked as abnormal by authorities, which made him realize the government likely knew more than it admitted. Students gathered at the gate only to find nothing there. Not far away, a mysterious figure ordered the campus sealed and sensed that the traces left behind were man-made, meaning someone had already awakened early. Later that night, back home, he lay in bed but could not shake the heat lingering inside his body. Cold showers and air conditioning did nothing. When he checked his phone, the top trending topic was an updated realm chart released by the Spiritual Cultivation Association, listing stages from Ghost Acts to Supreme Transcendence. He vaguely remembered the association from his past life, and the fact that the chart appeared on official channels made him suspect it was a signal to early awakeners. Following its guidance, he refined his body into chi, forming an inner axe in his mind, and the system congratulated him for reaching Ghost Axe 1 star, granting him points that allowed him to forcibly implant cultivated energy into objects. Curious, he infused a simple water cup, successfully enchanting it with yang power, realizing he could create extraordinary weapons this way. That night, as he slept, strange noises woke him. Since reaching Ghost Axe, his hearing had sharpened beyond normal limits. The sound wasn't a mouse, and when he stepped into the hallway, a snarling mutated beast lunged from above. His heart pounded, but his movements were calm, his vision slowing the creature's attack as a sun-shaped mark appeared on his palm. He knew from memory that spiritual energy caused some creatures to mutate into beasts, and though this one was not fully evolved, its dark attribute made it stronger at night. He gathered yang power into his fist and struck its weak point, tearing open its body, and when it tried absorbing his energy, it only destroyed itself under the fierce sunlight power. The beast vanished in radiant light, leaving him shaken, but aware that if he had remained ordinary, countless people nearby would have died. Shortly after, a hidden organization discovered the scene and reported that the beast had been killed by someone wielding pure yang power, linking it to the Ching incident and deciding to recruit this unknown pioneer. The next morning, he meditated again, feeling the phantom weight of an axe grow lighter as he advanced to Ghost Axe 2 star. Though he knew rapid progress required solid foundations. To avoid attracting attention, he trained in a remote valley, infusing yang power into a newly purchased blade. Unlike toy weapons he had tested before that shattered under the strain, this real blade resonated with his energy, forming a true spirit weapon. As his training caused too much disturbance, he left quickly. Soon after, a twin-tailed girl tracked the yang aura to the valley and was stunned to see evidence of both his advancement and the creation of a spirit weapon, something even the association possessed only twice. Walking home, he wondered why the system had not unlocked other attributes yet, remembering it had once said he could compile various techniques and possibly stack multiple energies onto one weapon. Just then, his phone vibrated with a message from an unknown number asking a simple question that made his pulse quicken. Was he also a pioneer? The moment that person told me he had been watching my recent browsing history, noticing how deeply I had been following the strange events happening between heaven and earth, and how I had even strongly supported the post about the cultivation realm chart without hesitation. And I remember pausing for a second before replying that I was really just a newcomer who did not understand much yet, but he clearly did not believe that at all, and instead invited me to form a team and head together to the newly evolved polluted zone called Dark River Meltdown, a place that used to be nothing more than an underground river slowly formed by cracks in the earth. But after spiritual energy began to awaken, the flowing water gradually turned into burning hot magma, and as I thought about it quietly, it felt strangely similar to my own yang attribute. Then reminded everyone that the spiritual energy here was almost exhausted and it was better to leave. As we walked away, Zhang Xiaoya looked at my back thoughtfully, realizing that if that blade had truly fallen, those three would not even have ashes left, and she became certain that I was a high attribute prodigy pioneer and must be reported immediately. So she decisively called the Spiritual Cultivation Association, and the staff on the other end sounded shocked that within a single day, another high attribute pioneer had appeared. Meanwhile, I was walking home when I overheard passers-by talking about how realistic my prop blade looked and how imposing it seemed on my back, and startled, I quickly took out my phone and saw the forum flooded with posts claiming cultivation novels were becoming real. Even anonymous users saying a swordsman had cultivated somewhere and driven away something terrifying. And I sighed helplessly at my carelessness, because how could a 2,000-degree internal flame not cause strange phenomena? Feeling the yang spiritual energy filling my body, I thought that if I ran the Vajra breathing technique again, I might break through once more, and soon I appeared in the back mountain behind my home, where the twin-tailed girl Su Qingying had just finished her work when a dazzling light suddenly caught her eyes, and she sensed a domineering aura from the mount. Looking up to see a giant phantom axe forming in the sky, and her expression changed sharply as she realized someone was breaking through Ghost Axe 3-star, and she could hardly believe such a commotion, thinking this was no ordinary talent. As the last strand of heaven and earth energy flowed into my body, the spiritual phantom around me slowly faded, and the golden giant axe above my head trembled violently before turning into points of light and merging into my dantian. And Su Qingying witnessed all of it, her eyes filled with shock and envy, because my control over the divine axe looked as if I had cultivated for centuries, and she remembered how she herself had failed that breakthrough, being thrown back by the axe's pressure, coughing blood, and lying in bed for a whole week, and even with her rare constitution, she had failed. So she could not understand where someone like me had come from. In her eyes, my spiritual energy was abundant and steady, refined, as if hammered countless times, and unlike most pioneers who rushed breakthroughs impatiently, I moved carefully and calm. When she tried to track me, I had already disappeared, and she clenched her fists in frustration, calling out respectfully, asking if I was still there, introducing herself as Su Qingyun, captain of a branch team under the Spiritual Cultivation Association, also a pioneer, explaining she had been tracking me only to sincerely invite me to join, hoping I would not misunderstand them, assuring that the association had proper documents and seals. I listened quietly from hiding, and after a moment asked why they insisted on inviting me, and she honestly said that the nation was gathering pioneers to regulate things and offer protection, because uncontrolled growth was dangerous, and in the future everyone would have to face unknown dangers together. But I replied plainly that I could not fully trust them yet, and she quickly showed her identification, mentioning she had been an athlete before awakening, and I remembered she had indeed been a national long-distance runner-up not long ago, thinking that good natural talent often led to awakening. I knew that in my previous life humanity had fallen partly because pioneers were not united in time, and although I would eventually participate because of the system, now was not the moment. So I told her I would consider it, but she must keep my whereabouts secret, and she agreed, though she admitted my breakthrough phenomena had already been noticed and would have to be reported carefully. Soon warnings spread about Yuhuang Peak becoming a high-risk polluted zone, advising people not to go out unnecessarily, and I stood in the rain looking at the lightning-covered mountain, my eyes lighting up at the dense thunder attribute, sensing opportunity, and I rushed toward Yuhuang Peak. The system warned of a polluted domain ahead, and a bolt of lightning struck toward me, yet I gripped my tang blade firmly, knowing the thunder at the peak was my chance to grow stronger. In the association meeting room, the atmosphere was tense as data soared, estimating the zone might rise to S-class, and that even Ghost Axe 3-star would face certain death there, deciding to seal them out. Meanwhile, lightning struck me repeatedly on the peak, my blood surging, yet I refused to retreat, protected by pure yang breathing, knowing that to extract pure thunder I had to reach the center, and remembering that once spiritual awakening fully spread, said, ordinary humans might fall to the bottom of the food chain. So relying only on blade techniques was not enough. I had to strengthen myself. I swung my blade against light, coughing blood as violent force pressed down on me. But wiping the blood away, I pushed forward. And when a massive lightning pillar shot into the sky, the system began extraction and granted me Divine Thunder 100 refinements, allowing lightning to temper my body until it became like a mount, both spear and shield, with 300% critical damage against evil anomalies. And instead of implanting it into my blade, I chose to implant it into my right arm, lightning patterns appearing along it. The next morning, Su Qing-yun and Major Han Li analyzed the peak and concluded someone had altered the pollution trend, likely a Thunder attribute pioneer, and they named the operation to find him Tyrant. Back home, I flexed my arm in amazement at the transformation, and soon an emergency alert reported a chemical plant explosion with strange chilling sensations. And recognizing that aura from my past life when mutated creatures hunted humans in darkness, I gripped my blade and resolved to stop them that night and test my thunder power.